Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Demons from Outer Space. Thank you for your patience with our little January hiatus. We are back. Me, Bill Worster, Zazubaar, him, Dylan McCandless, Super DM 64.
Yes, it's February, the
month of love.
the month of holidays created to make you spend enormous amounts of money on candy, and also
Is there more than one?
Well, specifically for do this or you won't get laid reasons.
Oh, well, it was just the one then. That's a big one though. They make a lot of money on that day.
It's a scam. Fight the power. It's also the month of black people, but we are going to be going back to December because there's some unfinished business.
Some unfinished white business. No.
Some very white business, perhaps the whitest business of all, Doctor Who.
British business. No. So, yeah, we're going to go back to the Doctor Who Christmas special that we have yet to cover. Peter Capaldi fucking regenerated. Stephen Moffat's reign as the producer of Doctor Who ended. So there's a lot to be said, and we're gonna fucking say it. So...
There's been a lot of changes. We've lost Moffat, we've lost Capaldi, we've lost the Doctor's penis, we've lost a lot of things. And now
I mean, we don't know for a fact that Capaldi had one. Let's be real here. We know that Smith did because Clara looks at it. So
I mean, by that logic, we don't know that the new Doctor doesn't have one.
That's exactly the point.
I suppose that would be way more progressive, wouldn't it?
Wouldn't that be amazing? Yeah, but it would be more progressive if they retroactively revealed that Capaldi didn't have a penis, and then he grew it back, because then they could make a storyline out of the fact that the penis was like misplaced by one regeneration.
You thought that we were giving you the first female Doctor. In fact, we have given you the first she-male Doctor, and the last one, it turns out, was a lady boy. So you're all very shook now.
We're making a lot of progressive strides here tonight.
They changed the name of the show to Dr. Woke.
You know what? If Moffat stayed on, I feel like he would do something like that. Like, I feel like he'd be like, the name's not good enough anymore. Everybody thinks his fucking name is Doctor Who. I hate it. But they think his name is Doctor... Or, you know what? That would at least be a joke on the show that he would make, without a doubt.
Dr. Woke.
And stuff like that is really hit or miss with his era, especially the later stuff, especially the stuff that was going on when Capaldi was the Doctor, unfortunately. So that's why there's so much to be said, because, you know, saying goodbye to Peter Capaldi is like a weirdly conflicting thing for me, because on the one hand, he's my favorite of the modern Doctors, at least my favorite actor to have portrayed the Doctor. Like, I think when you give the Doctor lines to read, of all of them, I just think he has the most gravitas. And I think whenever he speaks, I'm listening, and I find him the most compelling and the most interesting. And through all the bullshit of his era, he has kept me engaged.
I think Matt Smith is still my favorite, but I think it's a combination of one, acting ability, but two, also just having, you know, better material to work with. Started going downhill the closer we got to him leaving, unfortunately. But season 5 and mostly 6 are still, you know, like pretty solid.
I mean, of course, Tennant's era is classic, but I'm just talking about raw power of a performer, and Capaldi just brought it in that regard, his whole era, regardless of whatever the hell material he was given, and I just think that's really impressive. You know, that there's a testament to that in a show where it's just, you know, bouncing around time and space for episode upon episode upon episode, and, you know, you're given a lot of stuff that kind of runs together, and to always make it stand out in those emotional beats is really important, and I think he's the best at that for me. Tennant was really good at that. They're all good at that, but he was the one for me that made me go like, oh, this dude.
I feel like it's a Colin Baker situation where everybody, for years, he was like, oh, he was the worst Doctor, but then you look back at it and you're like, oh, actually, you know what, he was fine. It was just the stuff they gave him, not that great, you know? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I like the take on him as well. That was, you know, especially attempted at first. I really liked the idea of pushing the whole angry old man. He's darker. Something has kind of shifted in him, and he's got to kind of rediscover that. And you know, the way they shifted his characterization over time works. It works better looking back on it now than I think it felt at the time. But at the time, I felt a little bit like they were kind of forcing him along to try and bring back some of the audience that they lost when they lost their sexy male lead. You know? So I think there's a lot of elements going into like what hindered his era. For me, the biggest thing overall is it was Moffat, I think, running out of juice. You know, he's concurrently trying to fucking write Sherlock, as well as a million other things, and fucking a Dracula show. And I haven't even seen the latest season of Sherlock, but I can only imagine that I would have a lot of the same problems with it that I've had of recent Doctor Who, which is just he just is repeating himself over and over again at nauseum.
I don't know that you can. Because he only occasionally writes Sherlock. That shows.
But he's running Doctor Who, and he's also co-running Sherlock with Mark Gatiss. That is a lot.
That's true. Even if it is 3 episodes every fucking 5 years.
Yeah, but they're essentially all they're all movies, though. They're all movie length. He's doing a trilogy of films every couple of years.
Yeah.
So, I don't want to take anything away from the guy. His work has emotionally resonated with a lot of people, including me. But
I wonder when his Dracula show starts. I'm interested to see what he does with that, actually.
Sure. And
I'd just like to see him, doing something fresh.
Yeah,
definitely. Because he hasn't been for a long time.
I definitely think he should have left Doctor Who a season or 2 back. Not saying like Capaldi would have had to leave or whatever. The regenerations didn't have to be impacted by it. I just think that at a certain point, you can feel him going, "Oh, I don't know if I can do this anymore," or "Oh, I'm really rushing this out," and trying to rush what he thinks people want to see.
And also giving in to his more sort of sentimental attitudes towards, like, characters and, just let Clara fucking die. He had a problem with it in interviews. He said, like, I think Doctor Who should always have a happy ending. And I'm like, no, fuck you. Nothing should always have a happy ending. That's boring after a while. Yes, occasionally, but man, throw some tragedy in there. I mean, he writes this episode all the way back in season 1 where Christopher Eccleston is like, just this once, everybody lives until like 5 years later when this guy takes over and suddenly we can't kill anybody.
Yeah, that was the weird thing about it, is that he was the guy who kind of went, well, one time it would be nice to have a little bit, like, to have the exception that proves the rule. And I mean, he plays with that idea in this episode a lot, which is why I think this was, to talk about what we're actually supposed to be reviewing, I think this was such a nice cap-off, because I feel like he was addressing some of his criticism head-on, and not necessarily fixing it, but certainly trying to justify his stance on it. And definitely having it be a little more impactful, certainly, than it's been. I feel like this is definitely the most creative and fresh, and this, the story and the situations the characters are in. It feels like Moffat had something to say this time. So
yeah.
I definitely think all the other stuff we've set aside. He came together in the end.
I mean, I don't think it was as good as the Husbands of River Song, which was last year's Christmas special, right?
Yeah.
But it was pretty good. And that was a weird situation anyway, because we had just come off of season 9 being just total shit at the end. And then this Christmas special came out that was, like, really good. And it was like, it left me in this weird place waiting for season 10 where it was like, I don't know if I trust Moffat or not, because...
Yeah.
But then we've already discussed how season 10 he sort of redeemed himself a bit, right there.
He took the show back to its roots. It felt like when I watched season 10 for the first time, I felt like I was going back through Doctor Who on Netflix for the first time when I got into the show.
Yeah, it did kind of feel a lot like rewatching like those old Eccleston episodes, and I know that because I rewatch those episodes a lot because they're the only ones I own, and Netflix doesn't have it anymore.
Right. So. I definitely think that... See, I'm going to go further. Comparing it to the Husbands of River Song, they're so different. I think I like this more. And I'm going to say that I think it's probably the best regeneration since Eccleston. Like, just the best regeneration story. I feel like it was the most satisfying, it was the most unique. I don't feel like it was too... there's definitely a sense of he's prolonging the inevitable.
I think I can definitely agree with you.
And we're sort of, romanticizing his whole death. But I feel like it was the most justified this time. It was the most interesting. I felt like we got to wring out some really cool ideas with, really dragging out not just his regeneration, but also the First Doctor's, and throwing them together in the midst of that. And I also just feel like Moffat, maybe because Moffat kind of faltered there towards the end of his run, he went, all right, Doctor Who, you have a totally clean slate now, but here are the traditional things that people still like. And this felt like that to me, because it also feels like a very good marriage of classic Doctor Who, particularly early on, like, of course, Hartnell's era, but all the early seasons, and what people liked about the show when it first came back with Eccleston and Davies.
I think I can definitely agree with you that this is probably the best regeneration since Eccleston. I mean, I'm on record with all my problems concerning David Tennant's regeneration. And
I think it's better than Time of the Doctor. I think it's better than The End of Time. I don't know if it quite hits quite as hard as was that one called End of the World? I can't remember what the final episode of season 1 was called, but that's a heavy hitting.
No, isn't that one Parting of the Way? No, Parting of the Ways is the end of season 4. I think it is End of the World.
I don't know, but it's a good one. And Eccleston's regeneration has those really nice kind of like, who I am now is going bye-bye, but I'm not really dying, and that's what makes it weird. And I feel like this capitalized on that feeling better than Tennant and Smith did, and just all the emotional beats that we're trying to hit with that felt a lot more justified and interesting this time.
See, I was a little worried because it seemed like they were doing the whole Tennant thing again, where it's like, I don't want to regenerate. Like, we've been here before, and your character already made peace with this, with the Matt Smith speech at the end of his run, with maybe the best speech just before regenerating. We've concluded that. The Doctor should never be angsty about regenerating again because we've had that moment, but they did it in a different way. Because it was actually, it wasn't not wanting to die and not wanting to change. It was him just being tired of it all and just wanting to
have peace.
Actually, it was the opposite of the whole David Tennant thing. He wanted to die, but for reals, he just wanted to
die as he was and just, have peace. And it's the same thing as what Bradley as Hartnell's Doctor says. A man should have the right to choose to die as he is. Mm-hmm. And the Doctor says to him at the time, but then there's all that other crap that you're not going to do, so fuck you, old man.
Yeah, which, if you think about it too hard, may or may not be a message that condones euthanasia, but that's a whole political debate
I think all those ideas of dying and being fed up with life and just checking out, that's certainly what's being explored in a far more PG kind of way. And I guess that's what Doctor Who is all about, exploring those kind of ideas. And I feel like this, more than The End of Time and more than Time of the Doctor, was able to do that. And you know why? Because it wasn't like lasers being fired and frickin' end of the world plots and all that. People got to breathe and talk.
Right.
That's why it felt classic. That's why it felt classic Doctor Who to me, because there was more of those ideas and people talking kind of things. It wasn't like lasers and the Master shooting lightning.
That being said, I do wish that there was a little bit more going on with the alien plot.
I felt that way when I first saw it.
It's just kind of vague, and I'm still not entirely sure what's going on, and it's like nothing. There's nothing to it.
There's nothing sinister about it. No, it's ultimately he doesn't stop anything bad. It is ultimately the idea at the end.
I'm not saying that there necessarily has to be anything sinister about it for it to be good, but it's just so flimsy, I think.
It feels weird because it's the end. of Capaldi's era, and like I said, we're used to the whole lasers and explosions thing at the end of the eras now. I mean, Eccleston even had that at the end of his, and I still think that that's the ultimate like regeneration story. But I think why it worked, I totally agreed with you the first time around, and if you ever do rewatch it, let me know if it works any better for you. But I think going back to it now, the conflict is completely about the Doctor, and the actual exploration of what testimony is and what it's all about is really just a reflection for him, and it's just something. It's one of the many different ideas that he comes across in his travels, and it's all about his kind of impact on it. It almost feels like Genesis of the Daleks in that way, but this isn't like a threat that we're familiar with. And why I think they did what they did with it in terms of being dead people being immortalized in a sense in like a computer mainframe, which we've seen in Capaldi's era, is I think supposed to be like, oh, this is something I think this is something it's something you've already seen, and you're looking for reasons to not trust it because that's what you experienced the last time. I think there was a little bit of that going on.
Now that I'm thinking about it, that was my other big problem with it, is that it's basically just the plot from the end of season 8 again, but without the big like dun 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 and like the Cybermen coming out.
It doesn't seem as much like,
which is a little bit of a problem because that was the best part of the finale to season 8 was the whole dun 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 and then the Cybermen coming out, and then the second half of it wasn't as good. But that moment when she lets him know she's the master is still mwah, perfect. But
I don't know. I think going like I said, first time I saw it, I definitely had the same feeling. But going back to it, feeling that was essentially the point, I enjoyed that, and I feel like that was a good idea for this kind of story. He's the Doctor of War, as she calls him, and then at the end we see that maybe has a different meaning. So, I thought that worked in the end. What I think is problematic about it is that I feel like they start to hinge the whole thing on Mark Gatiss' character at a certain point. He's like the human in. And at a certain point we don't know enough about him. Yeah. Or we know too much or we know too much about him. Because like we're spending so much time like developing his emotions and everything. And then to throw in the stuff with the Brigadier at the end. It feels a little fan fiction-y. Then I feel a little bit like, am I reading a fan fiction now, like a First Doctor, 12th Doctor fan fiction?
So he's the Brigadier's dad. That's the idea, right? He's his dad.
Must be, because the Brigadier must have fought in World War II.
Or like a way older brother, maybe.
No, because he says he's got his two boys. One of them must be dear old Alistair.
Okay. So it's his dad.
Seemingly so.
Okay, fine.
I'm fine with that conceptually, but maybe
I wish it had more of a bearing on what was happening. If you're
Capaldi's Doctor, I mean, at the same time, I guess Capaldi's Doctor in that fucking Cyberman story you mentioned before, he interacted with the Brigadier in that way. But what I was going to say, what I was going to say was, it feels like the Brigadier connection comes out of nowhere. Because the 12th Doctor hasn't really had much to do with UNIT, especially lately, and with the Brigadier's legacy, especially lately. But I guess back in the beginning of his era, he did, and maybe Moffat was trying to call back. Because Moffat is definitely trying to call back to different markers in the 12th Doctor's run throughout
I think he's had more interactions with UNIT than any of the new Who Doctors previous. Because, I mean, Matt Smith, ran into them twice?
Yeah, now that we're thinking about it, I think he did. So maybe it does make more sense than we're giving it credit for. But in the context of watching this as a singular thing, it comes out of nowhere.
Because I feel like if there are two eras that Capaldi's era sort of harkens back to the most, and it's Hartnell and Pertwee, and the Pertwee shit was all about fucking UNIT and
the Doctor specifically defending the Earth from invasion. And
yeah, we had that.
Capaldi has just been like that. He has been stopping like intense fucking bizarre forms of takeovers his whole fucking era. Like this is what the Zygons did with the stuff with the pyramid last season.
I was about
Cybermen
to,
in season 8.
I was about to bring that up. I mean, we had that big 2-parter in the last season with the Zygons, but love it or hate it, that's a huge, just Pertwee episode, basically.
That is a very Pertwee-esque episode. I mean, remember him becoming the president of the Earth at the end of season 8, which was weird, but that's something that they would have done in Pertwee's era.
And I'm not sure.
I guess it seems like more of a consequence of Pertwee's era.
Also, how does the unit choose a president of Earth?
The United Nations supposedly did it, but that was stupid. That's fan fiction shit, bro. That's what Moffat starts to pull in these later seasons.
It's fan fiction.
Fan fiction.
It's fan fiction by somebody who is under the impression that literally every nation in the world is part of the United Nations, and that we're living in some sort of Star Trek place where the whole world is just one giant government. No, not at all.
It's impossible to really get any kind of sense what the real world, quote unquote, is like in Doctor Who, like what the present day real world is like, because we're constantly bouncing around time, so we're terrified to really show the advancement of technology or anything, because it's going to be constantly changing. I mean, it's weird to go back to the show in the past and it'll be like, oh, it's 2025 and it looks like the 60s with some fucking weird clothes, Yeah,
I guess it is possible with all the time travel and alien invasions that the political state of Earth in Doctor Who world is way different than in the real world, just because of all the shit that's gone. I mean, fucking the Prime Minister of Britain fucking executes the president.
Was a Time Lord at one point.
Executes the president on live television, and then everybody's just like, well, that happened. And then they shrug and move on with their lives. Until the whole crack in time thing erases all that anyway. Isn't it weird to think that all that shit that happened pre-season 5 didn't technically happen because the universe got rebooted?
That's right. I always forget about that. And Capaldi makes reference to that. He said at one point he says, if you have to put the universe back together, it's like a pain in the ass. That's not the exact line, but that was the sentiment. And the First Doctor looks at him like he's fucking crazy.
Yeah, and what's weird about that is technically all the shit that Hartnell did should have been erased too by the crack in time. So even...
Oh, don't think about it that hard, D. Do not think about it that hard. You're going to hurt yourself. Don't do that. Do not do that to yourself.
This entire crossover is impossible.
Technically, Day of the Doctor should have been impossible. I mean, technically, the fucking Time War shouldn't have happened.
Well, the Time War was always sort of like protected in like that time lock thingy, so maybe that protected it from the cracks, and it didn't get out of that until Day of the Doctor. Like I've already fanned my way around that problem, but now there's a new problem.
I'm glad somebody has. No, I don't know what the hell we can possibly do to reconcile all that. But regardless,
I feel like that's not our job.
No, but I don't even feel like it's the show's job either. Like necessarily, like it shouldn't be about that. But sometimes Moffat gets weird about it. That's the thing. I feel like Davies was better at handling that kind of stuff, that kind of continuity stuff, that kind of expanded mythology stuff. Moffat is so weird about it because he's so obsessed with the hour drama, the proper 50-minute format drama. I feel like Davies had a better sense of playing the long game.
Yeah. I think Moffat just played. I think he just plays a little bit more fast and loose with continuity. Is all.
That's for sure. That's a guarantee. He's a lot more like, oh, we're going to do this now, guys. And we're like, okay, if you say so, pal.
I may have gone a little far in a few places.
Yeah, it is a little... Because he's been in control of Doctor Who for so long, he has kind of George Lucas it a little bit. Because he's been so totalitarian about it,
Now comes the Chris Chibnall Disney era of Doctor Who.
Yeah, we'll see what that kind of fresh air is like.
Doctor Woke, baby, coming in 2018. When does it start? When do the new episodes start airing? Is it this year? Are we getting them this year?
It'll probably be summer, like it was when season 8 came back. I would imagine.
I'm so curious.
For a fact, though, I think it's filming right now. I'm more excited for it than I was when fucking season 10 came back. Is for sure.
I mean,
I gotta know what it's gonna be like now.
well, before season 10 came back, you were kind of burnt out on Doctor Who, and so naturally,
I was because what got me back into Doctor Who was Moffat got his shit back together by and large, and then I got really.
I kept telling you, you got to watch season 10, man. It's better. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
A few missteps here and there, but man, is it ahead of what season 9 was doing?
And then I also got really into classic Doctor Who, and like hardcore, and I really developed a far deeper appreciation for the whole freaking franchise. And so then coming to this, I feel like I got really hardcore into classic Doctor Who at a perfect time, because this was a really good love letter to all of that. Like all of the exchanges between, I know we're kind of bouncing all over the place, but we haven't talked in a while, and we've been meaning to talk about this for a while. So that was
there's always a weird thing when we come back from a hiatus of like figuring out how to do a podcast again.
Yeah, we're doing it though. We're already a half hour in. Clearly, we remember a lot of what to do. But man, all the fucking conversations between the first and 12th Doctor are just ear masturbation. Just like it's just porn for the ears. It's just so good. The dialogue is so on point. Whenever the first Doctor is fucking talking about how Polly should be around to wipe down the fucking 12th Doctor's TARDIS, and he's like, you can't say things like that. Who says I can? Everybody you're ever going to meet in your life, ever. That's so good. It's spot on.
See, the Doctor woke has already begun. Yeah. No, that was all great shit. I mean, that's what Moffat does excel at. We were just talking about his issues with ye old canon, but
it definitely makes you like his characters, even if he fucking refuses to kill them ad nauseum. And he does it again. Not in full.
He makes you like him, but then that becomes a problem because he keeps them around. I really like
what he did with Bill.
But then he keeps them around for so goddamn long that they're too likable, and then you want them to die, even though you still remember liking them.
I feel like what they did with Bill this time was in spite of what happened with Clara. Yeah,
it almost felt like a fuck you to that, because it turned out not to actually be Bill.
I really liked that. And when Clara showed up, man, I mean, it looked terrible, because clearly she was on a green screen and not there. But at the same time, at least we resolved all that. But it was so forced. It was so like, all right, we're gonna get this out of the way just so nobody questions it later. That was Moffat going, all right, I'm doing this so nobody makes a blog about it.
And they had to do that bullshit where they like reversed one of the few cool things about the ending of season 9 was how he couldn't remember her afterwards, and it was like, oh, that's so sad, that's so tragic, neat. And then they're like, here, have your memories back. And I'm like, fuck you.
It felt like, remember at the beginning of season 7 when the Doctor erased himself from the Dalek mainframe?
Yeah.
And then they just then because that would have been weird in Time of the Doctor, they just have to have the Dalek suddenly remember that he's, that who he is again. So they just find out from the mainframe of whatever the hell that thing was called, the religious cult or whatever.
I guess the silence.
Yeah. There was a general kind of term for that whole deal. I can't remember what they were called though.
I guess in between that episode and the next time we saw the Daleks, the Doctor ran around and had a bunch more adventures, and the Daleks had new data on them. So way to undo what you did there, homie.
I mean, I didn't like that. I never liked Asylum of the Daleks. I didn't like that idea from the onset because I knew it wouldn't stick around, and they didn't do anything with it anyway.
Yeah. What was the last proper Dalek episode that we had? Oh, I guess it was the two-parter.
Magician's Apprentice two-parter. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Which was good. That was a really nice start to season 9. Like when that season opened with a fucking bang.
Yeah, I was very excited. I was very excited for what was coming, and then I saw what was coming, and I was like, oh no, this was coming.
It was pretty immediate too, because I mean, we've talked about season 9 a lot, but it was pretty immediate. The Fisher King looked really cool and was nothing.
Yeah, was that the very next story after?
Yeah. I mean, that was it for me. That was really it. Like that's when I went, guys, this is it. This is what we're gonna do all season. We're just gonna introduce cool ideas and then do nothing with them.
I held out hope a little bit longer than that because Doctor Who's had its bad two-parters in the past, and it's bad one-off episodes.
Yes, but remember that was the gimmick of season 9, was everything would be a two-parter. So I really took that as a sign of like, oh fuck, this is not going to work.
So I was sitting here thinking, okay, the Fisher King thing wasn't great, but maybe that's just the Fear Her of this season, which is weird to say because that's from season 2, and there are a lot of Fear Hers in that season. But maybe this is the bad one, and then it'll get better from here. And I don't remember what the third one was, but they were just varying degrees of bad to okay, and then you get to the finale, which just fuck you.
They didn't start getting really bad until later in. Like, it was after the Zygons where I started going, I don't even want to watch this anymore. Like I'm watching this because I'll have to talk, because I want to continue to know about Doctor Who, and I want to keep in contact with it. But like we've been saying, Moffat has definitely corrected his ship enough at the end of his era to make me go like, good job, dude. You definitely scratched all the Doctor Who itches, and I think that your mark on the franchise will be largely well remembered.
Right. I mean, you'll always be the guy that gave us fucking Blink and that other one, and
it's just so bizarre. And this might be one of the last things I'll say about like the general ways Moffat has fucked up. But it's bizarre that at the beginning he was the guy that was all about subverting the formula. Oh, we don't have to have the Doctor in it that much to still be interesting. Oh, we can introduce characters from the Doctor's future that he hasn't met yet.
Yeah, but then
breaking the formula was his thing. Then he became in charge. Then he became terrified of changing the formula, and that's the whole problem with his whole era, is that he tiptoes around changing the status quo so much, and then he kind of wanted to reshape the Doctor Who status quo to make the character more kind of of a mysterious wanderer again.
I feel like he always had his own formula that was different from the Russell T Davies formula, but was still a formula. So whenever he would write an episode in the Davies era, it would feel different because it's surrounded by all this Davies stuff. But it's still his own kind of formula. And then when he takes over, that just becomes the thing. Because, Blink...
That's a good point.
Because Blink is kind of the outlier. Blink is very unique. But if you look at the other stuff he did, good stuff. The two-parter from season 1 with the gas masks, the silence in the library from season 4.
But they are kind of similar in concept, and of course, Girl in the Fireplace is also great. That's unique from his other stuff, I would say as well.
But there's still elements of it that I can point to the stuff he's done ever since he took over from 5 and be like, that's kind of like Girl in the Fireplace, or that's a lot like Silence in the Library, or
he did a sequel to Girl in the Fireplace, so sure.
He did?
Deep Breath. Deep Breath is a sequel to Girl in the Fireplace. The robots are from the same, type.
Oh, are they? Okay. I knew it was this.
The ship that they were looking for was the sister ship to the USS Pompadour, whatever the hell it was called.
Okay. I had forgotten that. I knew that it was a very similar thing going on.
Well, the joke they made was like he couldn't remember it because it had been so long.
Right.
So remember,
but see, that didn't happen because the cracks in season 5 with the lights and the Pandorica and all that.
Like I said, man, don't hurt yourself. Huh? I really liked the bit because I was going to make a point about how much time has passed. He was 900 years old back then. Now he's 2,000 years old. There was a great joke where the First Doctor, being very First Doctor-y, says, "Get this man some brandy," because he's been shook up. So the 12th Doctor is like, I guess I still have that. So he goes over to his weird vault, and he pulls out some brandy, and it looks like rather dipped into, like it's like at the last third. Yeah. So the First Doctor is like, "Have you maybe had some of this?" And the 12th Doctor is like, "I maybe snuck a glass in the last 1,500 years." I fucking died both times at that line. That's such a good line.
I loved that anyway. I just love the idea that the Doctor just has like a little fridge on his TARDIS full of like. Well,
but it's something that the First Doctor would have done. That's of that era, of like, oh, you've been like I said, you've been shook, so you need a little alcohol to set you straight.
Yeah, well, yeah, I also get a kick out of it because it's very Star Trek. There's all kinds of moments throughout the original series where like fucking McCoy will be like, "Hey, you want some of the Saurian
That's just
brandy that I?
old sci-fi. I mean, you go back to anything from the 50s and something bad happens, you're like, here, have some brandy.
You want some of the Saurian brandy I got under my desk? Isn't that illegal in this sector?" Shh.
Yeah, it's a nice old sci-fi trope that I think was really they played with that really well here. Because then when the first Doctor goes back to his TARDIS and he pulls out the brandy, which is presumably the same brandy, it's already been dipped into, so we know that it's from before he regenerated. Which is great. So I can just imagine like a young Hartnell like getting onto the TARDIS for the first time and just being like, "Woo! This is lit, fam!"
Yeah, I will say that going into this, there was a lot of pressure on David Bradley because
Oh yeah, big time.
he had played the guy who played the first Doctor before, but now he had to actually play the first Doctor, and so it's a similar thing, but it's also a very different thing. And
But fuck, he nailed it. He was so good.
he was very good.
Yeah.
You know,
Had this not been a crossover episode and they still done the same plot, it wouldn't have worked. I would be more with you now about the alien stuff being disappointing.
and
But
thank God
because it's a crossover, there's so much conflict inherently that you kind of don't even need there to be a bad guy plot.
and thank God that they resisted the urge, because they would have done this, of having Capaldi look at David Bradley and say something to the effect of, "Didn't I see you on a spaceship with some dinosaurs?" or something.
Oh, that would have been, that wouldn't have worked. As it is, they were Moffat was sort of reaching back into his fan fiction bag when he goes, "Look at your face, it's all crazy." But I was okay with it because they're both in the midst of regeneration, so he kind of he uses it as an excuse for them both still being all vital and shit. They're both dying, but they're also both in the midst of regenerating, so their bodies are in this weird gray state.
Yeah.
So that's why fucking Hartnell can... I mean, it's not Hartnell, but it's the First Doctor. That's why the First Doctor can, like, jump out of a spaceship onto chains, even though he never would have done that in his era, because he would have died.
Yeah.
So I really liked that. I feel like Moffat, like I said, he dipped into a bag that he's dipped into a lot, and it has worked out for him not so great in the past, but it worked well here. That like, trying to explain something that doesn't need to be explained.
Yes, because how many times have they done that before? I mean, he did it with Capaldi and the whole, "Why does this face look familiar?"
Well,
and I'm like,
we don't... huge fucking deal out of that, and then it really didn't amount to anything except for a weird, out of nowhere moment in season 9.
Or you go all the way back to even the Russell T Davies era, where Martha's like, "My cousin worked at Canary Wharf, wink, wink, nudge, nudge," and I'm like, I didn't even remember that actress was in that episode. Before
it's not something you have to address. I don't care, but the way Moffat played with it here, I liked it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, performance-wise, he nails it so well.
Did I ever tell you? Did I ever tell you the fan theory that I either read or watched in a video where the reason Capaldi is in Children of Earth, the Torchwood special, is that character is like a descendant of the Roman guy that the Doctor saved, and him committing suicide and killing his whole family is like the universe like karmically getting back at the Doctor for saving people who were supposed to have died. I really like that theory.
That is a great theory.
Anyway,
but I don't want them to explain it in the show because that would ruin it.
No.
That's my point. Is that Moffat likes to do that kind of stuff because he reads stuff online. It's weird. We live in that world now where it's like these creators are so in touch with the fans, and Moffat sometimes pushes that too far. He loves to go like, "Oh, you guys wrote fan fiction about this, so I'm gonna mention it in the show," and it's like, maybe not.
And it's a huge problem, too, because then they pander to the fans, and then every now and then when somebody comes around and says, "I'm not going to pander to the fans lose their shit."
No, it's been a lot of the issues with his stories in the past couple seasons is just there's not enough. I have a vision, and I am going to follow through my vision, and too much of, well, the people want this, so I'm going to do this. So, but there was a really, really good blend of that this time. It was a satisfying multiple Doctor story and a satisfying end to Capaldi's era.
but also a lot of the people don't want this, but I do, and then throwing it in there anyway.
Yeah, but like weird, but then trying to justify it by having all the weird like fan references and everything. Yeah, it's a weird mishmash, and that's why his era is so conflicting.
Like I felt like they kept Amy around just long enough, and they always flirted with the idea of her.
No, they fucked it up with her too, because her ending was good because they didn't kill her and Rory. That's what was clever about that. They just kind of went off and started living life, and then the Doctor had to drag them back into it in season 7, and then they had to get all weird with time travel again.
Season 7. Oh, well, wait, what was the ending of season 6? What are you referring to at the end of season 6?
At the end of the God Complex, I think it is, Amy and Rory are like, hey, listen, we're done. we're sick of this. It's time to stop. And the Doctor reveals that he's gotten them a house and a car, and they can start their own little life. And after that, the wedding of River Song happens, and that seems like a good ending for them too then. So, I don't know. I didn't think they had to come back to be regular companions in season 7. It felt weird.
But then the ending that they wound up giving them in season 7 was really good too.
See, I guess you like that more than I do. I was a little bit like, really?
Like the episode overall was just kind of middle. But yeah, I liked the whole ending with them getting trapped in the past and he can't go back and get them, and it's very final, and it's not the kind of thing that Moffat likes doing. And it was,
but they still got to live out their whole lives and everything. I don't know. It felt a little...
Sure, in the 30s.
Yeah,
who wants to do that?
Who wants to do that? True.
They didn't even have the internet. These are people that are used to checking their Twitters, and now they're stuck in.
There was one element of it that they've cut that I think would have been better. I would have liked that idea more, where their son, who was like an older man at that point, was supposed to come to Rory's dad and deliver like a letter to them. And I think that would have been cool, but they didn't do that.
I wouldn't have done that, though, because that would have been too similar to Blink. With all the old people showing up and being like, "Do you remember me?"
Yeah, but it was the Angels again, though, so that would have been a fun nod, I think.
You met me 5 seconds ago, but now I'm 80 years old. Ooh.
I think I would like to see the Angels come back with Moffat not being in charge. That will be fun. So I hope that Chibnall does use them.
I mean, he fucked the Angels up the very second time he used them, when you actually got to see them move. And I know he did the whole blinking lights thing, so it's kind of like a projector, and that was a clever way of doing it. But even still,
there was a little bit of that in Blink, though, too.
Yeah, but it was still like there was a moment in Time of the Angels, that two-parter. Is that what that one was called? Time of the Angels with the crash spaceship. Whatever.
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a moment in that two-parter where, like, you just straight up see the Angels move. Like it's not, because in Blink it was always just like still images, and they get a little closer and like their position changes, but it was still like creepy because it was all like weird and staccato. There's just a moment where like they just straight up move and it's all like fluid and smooth and shit, and I'm like, that ruins it.
I don't remember that, but I didn't like them using the voice of the dead guy. I liked the idea of it, but I just didn't understand why they could do that.
Yeah, every time the Angels show up, it's like, here's a new power they have.
They're like the Force, but they're not the Force, though, so it doesn't work. Because they just keep introducing new shit into it. Right.
And like the other big thing that they introduced was like, even if you take a picture of an angel, the picture will become an angel. Or, that whole chestnut.
Yeah, that was weird. I really liked, to get back to this, though, the way the two doctors kind of stand off with the glass lady at the beginning of the kind of, when they first get the TARDIS taken up into the big spaceship, and the Doctor throws on his sonic sunglasses, he whips out his sonic screwdriver, and he's dashing around trying to figure out what's going on. First Doctor's just looking at the fucking woman, and then the 12th Doctor's like, she doesn't matter, she's just AI, and he's like, nah, man, that's a real person. And he's like, how do you know that? And he's like, because I'm looking at her.
Here's something we haven't talked about yet. What did you think about the whole thing with the the quote unquote good Dalek on the planet with the tower and the fucking.
That was fun. I liked that was a callback to another early moment from Capaldi's run. I thought they used that well, and that was and it was another nice reason to go around adventuring. Like we've been saying, there's no villain plot really, so there was a nice need for danger there that felt natural.
Yeah, and I really liked the episode it was calling back to too. The one from season
Into the Dalek was another really good start for Capaldi's era. That was another moment where we were like, oh, this guy's gonna have a fucking amazing era.
It was also, wasn't there like a line where he says, like, you're a good Dalek and that shouldn't happen, and then the thing says, I'm not a good Dalek, you're a good Dalek, because of like the Dalek.
That's exactly what he said to him at the end of that episode.
And that is also a great callback to the Dalek from season 1, where this Dalek says, you would make a good Dalek. And then Eccleston makes this face like, I done fucked up.
Mm-hmm. You know, that was all really good.
It's a super Moffat-y thing to do, though. That just this planet where they're like, because it's something that's never been established before, and he just thrusts it upon you, and it's all very, realized.
No,
and all this.
I didn't have that problem with it, especially since I
didn't say it was a problem. I'm just saying it's very Moffat-y. Moffat-y not always. Moffat-y, not always necessarily a bad verb, just what it is.
I guess. But I liked the ending kind of, because it was a consequence of something we saw earlier in the run. So I thought it was nice to see where that Dalek ended up, and that he was like this fucking John Connor on the run against Skynet kind of Dalek.
Wait, was that supposed to be the same Dalek from that other episode? Because I didn't get that at all.
Wait, do you mean the one from Into the Dalek?
Yeah, it's supposed to be the exact same one.
Yeah, Rusty. He calls him Rusty. Yeah.
He does? Okay.
Yeah.
I must have missed that.
He says, remember when I was miniaturized and put inside of you? Good times.
Oh, okay.
No, you didn't. Oh,
either,
see, that's why you're having this problem with it it just comes out of nowhere. It does not come out of nowhere.
I either didn't catch it or just forgot it.
Weird, okay.
Okay, see, that's a little better then.
That's a lot better, I think.
But he's still introducing like the whole environment and like the tower with the laser and the little Daleks without armor skittering around, which was felt very Power of the Daleks. Something else we reviewed.
Yes, and now we found in that scene because the fucking what Dalek guns do when they're taken out of the armor is so inconsistent. Now they can be launched out.
Yeah,
that's the new thing they can do because back in Power of the Daleks, they can just be taken out, and there's no plug. But in Genesis, there's like a weird plug that has to be inserted.
I wonder if those little floating Dalek antibodies that are inside the Dalek armor, from Into the Dalek, I wonder if they run system upgrades, because these Daleks are just constantly being like, now I can do this.
When they're skidding around, though, that felt very the first Dalek story, because remember when it's under that coat that they put it in, and it skitters out.
Yeah, and you never quite see it, do you?
No.
That's great. I like that. Because there's all these great moments in Classic Who where it's like, look, it's the Daleks out of their armor. We're not actually going to show it, but ain't that fucked up?
Well, the first Doctor doesn't even really realize what they are until he sees the bit of Dalek of the armor. And he goes, coming out of their shells. And I was like, coming out of our shells! Like the TMNT fucking...
Oh, God.
That's what I thought of. I was like, is that what Moffat's referencing? But no, it's just supposed to be like a weird vague thing. I loved that, though.
Don't bring up TMNT. We got some very sad news this weekend, and I'm still distressed. No. It also felt very Genesis of the Daleks when like Tom Baker looks in the room where like all the mutants are at, and they're like sort of previews of coming attractions, and they're supposed to be all deformed and horrible looking, but we don't ever see them. It's just like a green light coming out of a room, and Sarah Jane going, "Oh my God, they're terrible." Yeah,
the Doctor's like, "I'm not going to kill them though, because that would be bad."
And then Tom Baker saying, "Oh yes," turns to camera, "There are horrible things in that room. Take my word. Take my word
for it. I assure you, they're very dangerous
and
very real."
Believe me, you wouldn't want to see this. No, I really wouldn't. Nope, I don't think you would.
I do, though. You know what I felt like Capaldi did well in this story, too? I feel like he channeled a lot of different Doctors' energy into his performance, which he doesn't necessarily, he has a very specific take on the character, and I feel like he kind of varies it up this time, and I feel like part of it is because he's, interacting with the first Doctor, so it's probably weird for him to have all these ranges of personalities and experiences he can pull from, and the first Doctor is literally just the original recipe dude who stole the box, and is still like a super renegade who doesn't use the term Time Lord that often. And he still calls it a ship. That's such a good line. You still call it a ship.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of moments where he feels like he's kind of doing a Tom Baker, and he's doing a David Tennant. I felt like there were some Tennant-y kind of moments from Capaldi this time, and I've never seen that from him in any other story. So
yeah, it kind of reminds me of that short that Tennant did with Davidson back in the day, where
it does feel very similar to that, and Moffat wrote that too. So
yeah, because it's very, Tennant starts explaining like, oh, I do this thing now, and it's something that you used to do, and you're watching it like, oh,
yeah,
that's where that came from.
Yeah, exactly. Putting the specs on. I mean, fucking Hartnell whips out the monocle, which he probably doesn't need.
Like, I never even realized that there was an explanation for that. I just figured, oh, the Doctor has reading glasses. That's interesting.
Right. But it's clearly something he constantly does. He has, like, fashion specs.
Yeah. Well, depending on the Doctor. I mean, Eccleston never...
No, Eccleston he would just kill you. He'd just strangle you. He would never have to look at you. He would just kill you before you had the chance to do anything.
And Matt Smith was too busy running around wearing fezzes and Stetsons and things.
No, he had glasses. Amy's glasses.
Oh, yeah.
Because when in Day of the Doctor, when he whips him out, the 12th Doctor, the 10th Doctor is like, you fucking hack.
That was another great example of Doctor interacting with other Doctors and it being great. That whole thing. Moffat's good at that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think this is on par with that, too.
And we finally got that this last season with the Master as well, with the first multi-Master story, and that was great. He's really good at having the same person in different bodies meeting each other, which is a very specific skill that probably won't be much use to him on the marketplace.
And outlining the differences in their different personalities at those points in time. That's what he's good at. He's good at going, here's something the 10th Doctor would say, but the 11th Doctor probably wouldn't.
In fact, now that I think about it, since he wrote that short with Tennant and Davidson, he's written every single New Who multi-Doctor or Master crossover, hasn't he?
Yep, you're right. I didn't think about that, but you're absolutely right.
So the next time we have one, which who knows, could be 100 years from now.
But they're still making Doctor Who, like...
When I'm in my early 120s. I'm assuming that medical science will have...
It's not. You didn't even say Doctor Who's 100th anniversary, which we probably will still be around for.
Yeah.
Think about that. Maybe. I mean, you and I don't live the healthiest lifestyles, but...
Oh, yeah. If diabetes, that's something...
Let's just say this. When it happens, we probably won't know. We'll be like, what? Doctor Who?
Doctor Who?
But it'll be like our literal question. Like, the only doctors we'll be thinking about are the doctors that are, like, checking our fucking, buttholes for clogged,
Are you kids watching Doctor Who? No, Grandpa, we're watching Dr. Woke.
It's called Dr. Woke.
Nobody's called it Doctor Who since 2017, you old fuck.
Now, the Doctor is now like a genderless sex bot.
You damn kids with your technology
with your transportation. Is that what you were gonna say? How dare you be able to get from one place to the other?
Damn kids with your music.
Your hula hoops. Your scotch tape.
You should be listening to...
We only had masking back in my day.
You should be listening to classical music, and then I start playing like Tupac.
Yeah, like that's...
Like, you're so old.
Fucking Baja Man. This was the real shit back in my day.
This is very depressing.
The dogs refer to ugly women,
This is very depressing because I think I've talked to you about this. We're going to be like that generation of old people who like remember the previous century, but it's even worse for us because it's a whole other millennium we remember. Like,
Oh my God, they'll be like, oh, they were made before the millennium started, so get them out of here.
let me tell you, kids, about 9/11.
Oh Jesus.
I wasn't there, but it was. Oh boy.
People were shook.
We're shook.
To say the least.
You know what? That's the other weird thing about it. All this like millennial slang, shook, lit, woke. It's gonna be like fucking when old people say like gee whiz.
Yeah, that's the thing. Can you imagine? Well, imagine bro. One day, we'll say bro, and people are like, well, because that'll be like calling a guy a gentleman or
Yeah, well that's
or a pal.
that's already a thing because I will occasionally still whip out the old phrase of calling something the bomb, and then the young kids look at me like I'm fucking 90 years old.
You say something is radical, and they're like, what?
Totally tubular.
You say something's righteous.
Righteous.
If something is bossa nova, maybe a Chevy Nova.
Frere Jacques.
Oh God. We should play tequila now and just say ninjutsu whenever they're supposed to say tequila, and now it's ninja training.
Don't tempt me.
I'm down. Kids.
Put a lampshade on my head and hula dance to Aloha.
You always do that when we're recording. It's really distracting. So that's the thing about this episode. Like, it's the end of an era and everything, but
there's not that much to talk about.
No, it's good. It's you should definitely watch it if you like Doctor Who.
But because here's the thing: whether you like it or not, you like it. I still haven't come around to it. The plot is pretty thin, so there's not
a whole lot going on.
Like, well, it's a lot of just interesting character stuff going on. Everybody should go. I like it. That everybody should go see, and that's the reason to watch. But don't go in expecting fucking Logan, because
it's not an adventure. Well, I mean, I feel like it's more in line with Logan in that it's more about the characters. Don't go in expecting like fucking Skyfall, where it's like there's an elaborate scheme to unravel.
Let me think of something with a more elaborate plot. Don't go in expecting Blade Runner 2049. Is that closer?
No. Yeah, well, that's got. Yeah, I mean that's like an intricate mystery involving the bones of replicated people. So I guess.
Don't even go. You know what? Don't even go in expecting the original Blade Runner. Go in expecting.
But that's got a more simple story and is more about the characters. Blade 2049 is like, what is happening?
Yeah, but the originals also get all that deep thematic shit that I mean, this doesn't have any of that.
Characters and the philosophy, though.
Yeah, see, Blade Runner 2049 tries to have both, and that's kind of the problem and why that movie is 3 hours long.
We talked about that in our 3-hour review of that movie.
We did, didn't we? How long has this been?
We're at about an hour, so we're going to be wrapping up in a few minutes.
I mean, I guess we should talk about the elephant.
Let's talk about the regeneration then, since
let's talk about the elephant.
On the rest of it. Oh no! There's one last thing I want to say.
Oh.
So Moffat did wimp out of killing another character at the end with Mark Gatiss' character, but I don't know. I was kind of okay with it, specifically because the Doctor like actively makes that happen. Like, he finds out that the day that Stewart was supposed to die happened to be the day that the armistice happened. So he literally just altered when he got him there by a couple of hours, and that prevented him from dying. What I don't like about it, and why it ultimately doesn't work, is that
by the way,
testimony should not be okay with that. Testimony should be like, oh, I see what you did, you fuck. Now, because then when testimony, like, lets him go, they're not going to have his full testimony. Because he's still going to go off and live more life. So I feel like there should have been a problem at that point.
Do you think that as soon as the Doctor did that, the timeline got rewritten, and therefore testimony didn't even know about it? Because
testimony knew that was supposed to happen, and that that Stewart was supposed to go on living, and that the whole purpose of this entire ordeal was to get the Doctor to not die, specifically the 12th Doctor.
But Bill, none of this should have happened because the cracks in the wall.
Oh, you and the cracks! You know what
they should have erased World War I.
Stephen Moffat is gonna fucking put you in a crack in the wall if he ever hears this.
What am I, Harry
just
Potter?
not that kind of show. Putting cracks in walls.
No, but did
you?
No,
that was my problem with that. It was a wonderful emotional moment for Oscar-winning episode of Doctor Who, but on like a practical level, it didn't make any fucking sense.
Which, by the way, I called the whole Christmas armistice thing like the minute the episode began. I don't know about you, but
no,
as soon as,
I had no idea, and it really threw me for a minute because I was like, "Are they really doing this?" I thought we were going to go all the way with this.
Yeah, as soon as we cut to that that battlefield and everything, it was the Christmas special, and it just connected for me, and I was like, "Oh, they're going to do the Christmas armistice in this episode."
Yeah,
I guarantee it.
I don't think that worked, but I liked that the Doctor. I liked it was a subtle moment where you had to look at what the Doctor was doing in the TARDIS. There's this one moment where he kind of looks over and he just clicks a button, and you're like, "Oh, that's when he did it." Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I did like the little speech he gave about the Christmas armistice and like what it was. It felt
was a
very
good emotional moment. I definitely felt something.
It felt very Everybody Lives. It reminded me of that a lot.
Yeah, it definitely harkens back. And because this is the end of Moffat's era, cool. That was his first story, so it's nice that it harkens back to it. But because it didn't make a practical sense on the level of what Testimony was trying to do. And because it felt like Testimony was trying to teach the Doctor a lesson, like, oh, you have to let people go. But not necessarily if you shift time a little bit. It was a little bit of a mixed message. You know? But all right, so the regeneration.
Let's address the elephant in the room, and by elephant in the room, I, of course, am referring to Jodie Whittaker's pussy.
Is that really all you want to talk about, is just that part of it?
I mean, it's crazy, right? Like, how does that happen? From a regeneration standpoint, does the penis, fold in on itself like a dying star?
I guess so. I mean, how does everything else happen? The same way, it just explodes.
I always just sort of picture it like a morph effect on Photoshop. So imagine that with a penis turning into a vagina.
Exactly. So you're right. It folds in. I mean, it's like an instant sex change.
It strikes me as very painful.
He said it's. He always says it's painful.
Also, I imagine developing boobs instantaneously is probably not the most pleasant experience.
Like I said, I think he's usually in so much pain that anything added probably wasn't noticed.
Most men have to develop boobs gradually over years of eting too much pizza, but he just, bam, all at once.
I feel like the speechifying was the best since Eccleston, and that was one of the other things that impressed me, because when we were preparing for that, Moffat is going to do his end of his era / end of Capaldi speech. I was like, oh man, this is going to be over the top and exaggerated. And it was, but man, he owned it. And I totally loved it. And Capaldi acted the hell out of it.
See, my favorite just before regenerating speech is probably still Matt Smith, but that also has a lot to do with how much I hate the way Tennant went out, and the Matt Smith speech sort of being a middle finger to that.
Yeah, that was still good. But it didn't hit me as hard as this did, you know? Because I feel like because Clara was there, it felt like we were still hanging on to some elements of things that were going on. This felt like a real clean slate, and there was just a lot more. There was a lot more weight to it.
Oh, and he had that line where he was like, "We're all different people all throughout our lives," and it was like one of those moments where you feel like a hipster sitting in a coffee club, and you just heard somebody give some beat poetry, and you start snapping like, "Oh yeah, yeah."
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Sure. But this feels more like a guy, walking in the middle of a road at night, and and his life is about to change forever, like he's about to win the lottery or something, or about to get a divorce or some cataclysmic thing, and he's preparing himself to deal with it. And I think that's what I really liked about it. Like I said, just having a guy delivering a speech on a stage can be hard. in something like this because it can feel ridiculous. But
didn't he like recycle lines of dialogue that past Doctors had said before they were generated, or was that in the finale?
This one, I think that was in the season finale because he did that.
Okay,
he
did that
because he I'm pretty sure the line you mentioned liking he says.
Yeah, he did that before he landed.
He says, "I don't want to go."
Right, he did that before he landed on fucking Hoth or whatever and plunged his
the South
fist
Pole. Okay,
yeah, okay, the South Pole. Whatever.
Hoth, yeah, same thing. Sure.
South Pole, Hoth, fucking Santa's workshop. It's all the same.
But no, I mean, this time he was establishing the ground rules for himself, and I thought that was fun. And Capaldi did it with a really nice sarcastic edge that he does so well. That, like, he's being sarcastic and flippant, but he's still wearing his heart on his sleeve. That's what his Doctor was all about, and I feel like, at the end, we really got to see that.
Do you remember? I mean, you rewatched this, and I didn't. What was Jodie Whittaker's like first words after the regeneration? All she
says is, "Oh, brilliant."
Oh, okay.
When she looks, because she sees her reflection in the monitor, and then the TARDIS explodes.
See, that's. I wish that they gave her something better to say than that. I always love the post-regeneration, like, snarky comment.
Yeah,
like
it felt a little abruptly, like, done. Yeah. I wish we got a little set. We have no idea what her personality is going to be like. Like, she's still a totally blank slate.
It's almost like Moffat was like, all right, let's bring the new fucking kid in. Fucking, here's your line.
But the thing is, Moffat wrote Matt Smith's dialogue at the end of time. Davies didn't write that. So I don't know why Chibnall didn't write a little something for her to say.
Or maybe he did, and this was the best he had, and we should be concerned. I don't know.
I mean, at the same time, though, but at the same time, though, I will say this. It's different. She doesn't get to say much because the TARDIS fucking explodes in her face and she gets knocked out the door. So,
yeah, like, I mean, David Tennant didn't say that much, but he had that, like, Barcelona line, and he gave, like, that... It
feels more like that. It feels more like we're just being thrust into the next event, Like, okay, so we're just continuing on now. The TARDIS is exploding. The Doctor is dealing with it. I like that.
And then Matt Smith had that great thing where he saw how long his hair was, and he thought he was a girl.
Yeah.
And Capaldi, something about kidneys and what color they were.
Yes. And then he asks Clara if she knows how to pilot the TARDIS. It's so good.
Like, it would have been the easiest thing in the world. He turns into a woman. He pulls a compact mirror out of his purse that just materialized, and he says, "Well, this is different." Credits.
No, I mean, I thought that the effect that, I mean, they basically did what you just said. He looks in a mirror and he goes, "Oh, okay." I liked what they did with it. I really liked the TARDIS effect of it slowing down.
Can you imagine if he looked at himself in the mirror, or herself in the mirror, itself in the mirror, and was just like, "I'm gonna have to buy tampons. I gotta get a gynecologist. This is a whole new element of my life."
That probably would have been the monologue. So we'll get that at the beginning of season 11.
They'll never address that because this is a family show.
No, I mean, back in the day, they didn't even want to address the fact that the Doctor ate, so that way he wouldn't have to poop.
But it is a big thing because the plumbing is very different. I'm very thankful.
But I think the idea is that people can work it out for themselves.
I'm very thankful to have the plumbing that I have because there's a lot less upkeep.
Well, all right then. I'm glad you put that on the record.
So thanks, deity.
Okay.
Insert deity of choice here.
I really liked when the ring fell off, because do you remember that moment from Power of the Daleks where Ben tries to stick the ring on Troughton and it slides off? That's a nice, I think that's a callback. That's a nice little marker, because we just saw that moment from Hartnell, so I think that was a direct reference. I really like that.
Between that and the thing on the planet with the Dalek squirming around, I wonder if Moffat saw that animation as he was writing this and thought, I'm going to throw some references in, because there were a few little things that I was like, that seems familiar.
But like I said, this is the best regeneration for me in a while. I really, really dug all the stuff about it. I could have done with her having some more dialogue for sure, but I thought what they did still was effective.
I was just really disappointed that they didn't make her ginger. I thought that would have brought a whole new element to it, Yeah.
He hasn't mentioned that in a while, though. That was like that. It was like a too Like, he mentioned that twice, and then it was done.
Can you imagine that? Like the regeneration fairy comes around. Imagine there's a regeneration fairy, and it comes around and it says, "Good news, Doctor."
They're called the Sisterhood of Karn.
It comes around and it says, "Good news, Doctor. You finally get to be Ginger." Oh, that's great, but there's a catch.
Oh, definitely. But all right, so I mean, there's not much else to say then. I mean, unless there's anything else in particular that you wanted to address. But I definitely think that they went out on a high note, man. I was super pleasantly surprised, and I found it immensely enjoyable to go back to. Surprisingly, it wasn't like work going back to it. I just thought it was a really nice, like you said before, it's a really light character piece, and I think that it's the best of that we've seen from this show in a long time. They don't do it often. And I was very relieved. I think that it works.
And I was very relieved that Bill wasn't Bill.
Or was she?
I almost would have rather that she was Bill, actually, instead of getting that stupid fucking Clara cameo and then ruining the only good thing about the season 9 finale. Damn it, Moffat.
Yeah. But what about fucking the glass nipples, Dylan?
I mean, we already got that.
Well, overall, I found myself satisfied, and I've never been more optimistic about Doctor Who.
Could you see the nipples? Could you see them? Was that? I don't remember that.
No, Nardole mentions it. He mentions that, because he was robotic in season 10, partially. So his nipples were made of glass, apparently. Unless who knows, whatever the hell he's saying is serious. But he mentions how he's all made of glass now, but how they got his hair wrong because he's not bald, he has invisible hair. That was great.
Yeah. It's actually a reference to something that happened on like the fan show that they do on YouTube. They established that he had invisible hair.
Oh. Well, whatever. I thought it was fun. I like that. But like I said, I've never been more optimistic and excited for Doctor Who because I've just seen a wider berth of it now than I ever have, and I feel like I said, like we kind of went back to formula to take it all back to Spider-Man 01 at the end here.
We need to go back to formula.
I feel like that was the idea, and I think that they definitely did a good job
of getting
those ideas across.
Cut to Willem Dafoe creepily saying "back to formula" right before like choking a bitch. Good times. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I should watch that again right now.
Well, just wait a few minutes. So, all right, I think that's going to do it for our review of Twice Upon a Time, the Doctor Who Christmas special. So,
is that what it was called?
Yeah.
Thank you for resisting the urge to call it Twice Upon a Christmas. I mean, it's still close, but
it's a little cheesy for me as it even is. But whatever, it's not a big deal. Also, I didn't love all the storybook text either. That was unnecessary. We get it. We understand what's going on.
Oh, there was storybook text. I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I didn't really like that.
Ugh.
I loved how previously on Doctor Who 709 episodes ago, that was so good. And then the aspect ratio shift to TVs from back then, because that's the footage they had. That was all really good.
I always like when they do shit like that, like at the beginning of Day of the Doctor, where they had like the classic intro, and then you see like the black and white of the police walking down the sidewalk, and then like the aspect ratio changes and the color fades in.
Yep. No, that was all really good. It was all really fun. But I'm excited, man. I'm more excited about Doctor Who than I've been in a long time. So,
yeah, I'm immensely curious. And I mean, I've said this several times ever since the casting that there's a lot of pressure on this season to not fuck up.
Yeah, definitely. Especially just because Doctor Who hasn't been crazy as popular as it was not too long ago. So there's a lot of pressure to kind of get things back on track.
It's Chibnall's first season, so there's a lot of pressure on him to prove himself as a Doctor Who showrunner. There's a lot of pressure on Jodie Whittaker not to be terrible, because we'll never get another female Doctor if she is. So she's got to bring it. There's just a whole lot of pressure, and hopefully they can rise to the occasion.
Yeah. Hopefully.
So. we'll see.
We will definitely see, and we'll talk about it. That's what we're here for. That's all we're here for, is to rant and rave about things after they happen. And we're going to continue to do that as we have returned with regularly scheduled episodes of the Demons from Outer Space. And next time, we're going to be bringing back another old favorite of ours. We're going to be doing another Science Week, and we're going to catch up with what has been going on. There's been some goings-on. Animals have been discovered. Shit has occurred. Computer brains have been synthesized. That's the thing I saw. So I've got lots of stuff saved up to talk about, and we are going to talk about it. But after that... Just to kind of give us a sense of scope here of what we're going to be doing for our first month.
Should we announce the big thing coming up?
If you want to do that, go ahead. But just to kind of build up to that, after Science Week, we're going to go back to the Incredible Hulk TV series from the 70s, and we're going to do some episodes of that. We're either going to do two episodes. We're either going to do 2 episodes from season 1. Which are just kind of one-offs, or we're going to do the opening of Season 2, which is a movie. I haven't decided yet. I'll decide by next week, though. And then after that, just so everybody knows, we're going to be doing a commentary on Godzilla 2000. I'm also saying this that way Dylan remembers, because it's been a while since we've talked about it.
I forgot that I had agreed to do all those things. But cool. Have we really not done 2000 yet? I thought we already done 2000.
No,
we did 84. Okay.
Yeah.
We've watched 2000 together before. That's probably just what I was thinking of.
I don't even remember that, but sure.
But
after that...
Are we doing the American version or the Japanese version? I don't have the Japanese, so I guess we better do the American. After all of those things have happened, next month is going to be very special here on the Demons from Outer Space, because March of 2018 is going to be Samurai Month. We're going to do 2 American things that are kind of, inspired by samurai cinema and culture, but they're American productions. And then after that, the second half of the month, we're going to do a deep dive into some old school classic samurai cinema, some Kurosawa in there, of course, and some other stuff. I'm not gonna tell you what the things are that we're reviewing just yet. I'll let us get a little closer to March, but get excited. Because it's Samurai Month, and it's coming for your ass. March.
Yeah, so more themed series coming up. And, oh, shit. Sorry. Fighting back a sneeze. So lots of other stuff to get excited about in the future. But until we get to all of that, I am Bill Worster, a.k.a. Zazubaar.
And I'm Super DM64.
Reminding you to just attempt... to not end up in a crater with a German person, because you will likely be shot. So, it's probably not going to be Christmas when this happens. So,
right. If you are stuck in a crater with a German person, make sure it's seconds before the Christmas armistice of 18 something. One of those years.
Try hard to make it that year. Yep, specifically. Just do your best effort. Good night, folks.